Everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here using some wonderful products by Paper Rose. And we're going to start with the stencil that's called Crack. We are going to use these two dies called Eliza Flower and then the Sweet Foliage 3. Digging into this paper pad called Sketchy. Now what's great, there's 18 double-sided pattern papers and there's 3 of each design, and there's a total of 12 designs in their 6x6 paper pad here. What I loved about this pattern paper and what I saw was, yes, you had some definite designs. Yes, this is definitely mixed media, which is something that I do love, but they were soft. They weren't very bold designs. Some of them were, like that cracked wood there. But the other ones looked like backgrounds that you would do in an art journal, but we can do them on our cards too. So I decided to pull out my Distress embossing powders. I love these embossing powders. They're clear. They're translucent once they are heat set, which gives a great result. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to add the design on top of the pattern paper. And what's great is we don't lose the design of the pattern paper because of the way that these embossing powders work. So I'm going to take the cracked stencil, and again, it's a 6x6 stencil. I'm going to get that adhered down to my table and also my pattern paper. Because again, the pattern paper is also 6x6. So I'm able to put that on the stencil and then just wrap it around to make sure that it's in place. I am going to do that on all 4 sides because I'm sure I'm going to shift the stencil. It's just what I'm going to do. I am using one of our ink blenders. Wow. One of the dome shaped, and I'm using my Versamark pad embossing ink. It's a sticky ink, and I'm just going over in areas. I'm not looking to do a complete coverage, just looking to have this haze. Now it does end up being, because I cut it down, full coverage, but again, just trying to keep that distressed look, this background mixed media look. I'm going to remove the stencil and I'm going to pour on my embossing powder. Now for this one, for the other one I used, I believe it was broken china and peacock feathers, I think. This one I am using antique linen. So it's going to give just a hint of a beige. I was toying between antique linen or fossilized amber for this one, but I didn't want it to go, too dark. I wanted to keep it light and airy and just have this faint look of that design going out. You're going to see that as you heat set this, it has a shade of color, but yet you can still see what's underneath it when it comes to the pattern paper. So, and it actually amplifies what's underneath in that pattern paper, which I think is just awesomely cool. Absolutely. Again, it's just something different. Wanted to play around with it because that's what I like to do in my craft room. Play. See what works. See what doesn't. Again, this is why my chemistry teacher from high school said we just need to pass you and get you out. I was curious. So that's what our panel looks like. We are now going to trim this down. We are going to make this to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And we are going to put this on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 design panel mat in black. So that'll really make all of these elements pop and really come together when it comes to that. And this is definitely to me, this is the focal point. This is what stands out on this card. Now, I always do my die cutting off scene or off camera, off scene. What am I? Producer? Off the camera. And I did die cut the flowers multiple times. And I layered them multiple times when it came to this. So I'm going to start layering these on the major basis. So these were cut from very heavy cardstock, 120 pounds. And I cut them 3 times each. So the bottom 2 layers are going to be glued together completely. So have that solid, almost like chipboard type style. The top layer, however, I only glue the center of the die cut. I want that to just be propped up. So before I attach that, I grabbed my antique linen distress ink. Again, kind of having that same look, but you could have used, you know, there's that little bit of pink down on that right-hand corner of that card, of that pattern paper. So you could have picked like a warm lipstick, or, you know, maybe you want to go super bright and go kitsch flamingo, or whatever you have in your stash that would match these colors are perfect as well. So I'm just using a blending brush just to get that color around the edge. I'm curling them up. I'm going to take those edges and just have them just be curled up a little bit. And then the glue is only going to be in the center, like I said. So while I'm getting this thickness, this dimension, I'm adding that texture when I bend that cardstock and just give it a curl to do that. Yes, you are, if you put this in the mail, it is adding more weight. You're adding more cardstock. So there's a possibility that your postage will be higher. Yes, it is getting thicker because I'm using such heavy cardstock to layer all of these pieces, and I'm adding that dimension. So you may have to look at how you're going to mail this and what you need to put it in. So that's just something to think at. So when it comes to the foliage, the sweet foliage, I did the same thing. I only die cut, no, I did not do the same thing. That's what I wanted to say. So I only die cut that once and did not add any ink. And I have those as the backdrop. And now I'm just adding the flowers along the one side. Really not wanting to cover up my background. Now, you could have not put your die cuts onto your piece, by all means, and just add a sentiment directly onto after you've done your embossing. You can get the same results too by adding a clear embossing powder as well, because the ink, the versifying ink or your sticky ink that you're using for your powders will do the same thing. It'll make that paper darker. So keep that in mind. So you probably already have those products right in your stash. I'm taking the sentiment, and the sentiments are taken from the printed out sentiments, and I'm just putting that where the die cuts are, just so that they, again, keeping all of that focus, pulling that there, but then also having the focus on the other side of the pattern papers. I'm going to add some jewels to the front of this. I'm using my satin gold pearls from Trinity. I add just a little bit of something there, but not too much. Again, I just want to keep that to the background. So I'm showing both cards that I made as I was playing, coming up with that, but I just wanted you to see that. As always, the products that I used will be listed down below in the video description. If you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below as well, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss the next video. I hope everyone has a great day. Take care. Enjoy creating your art, but most of all, always be creative. Until the next video, guys. Take care.